Welcome into Transformations with Ordinary Pioneer, our new, very new YouTube show featuring guests talking about their transformative stories through health, through healing, through wellness journeys. Our first guest, our very first guest, is my dear friend and fellow facilitator here at Ordinary Pioneer, Paul Narus. Welcome
How are
to our
you?
very first show. Are you
Thanks
excited
for
to be here?
having me.
Of course. I'm
I am
blessed that you're here.
excited. Yeah.
Yes.
This
So,
is fun.
and you lead Reiki sessions here, and you're our tarot guru, and
Yeah.
all kinds of other. We get
I
into
talk to
tomfoolery a
people.
lot.
I say hi
Say
and
hi. He's
other
a wonderful
things.
greeter. But today we're going to be talking a little bit more of a serious topic,
Yes.
which is transformations through addiction. And you and I both have shared in conversations in our own transformative stories through addiction. And would you be willing to just tell us a little bit about your story and your relationship with addiction?
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit hard to pinpoint when it became a big problem
Hmm.
for me. Um, I started drinking fairly young in high school, but it was nothing more than, high school parties. But I think it became a real issue around age 23 when I was drinking daily, but not binge drinking daily. Um, but that led to binge drinking daily,
Hmm.
and then it led to, waking up in the morning to get rid of a hangover by pounding a couple of beers and then going to work, then coming home from lunch and drinking a couple more, then getting off work and drinking from the moment I walked in the door till the moment I passed out. I won't say went to bed. Um, just fell asleep. Um,
Do you think others noticed that you were drinking more than
oh
maybe was
yeah.
healthy for you?
Um, no one ever said anything though. It was just kind of normal behavior, one in my family and two amongst my friends and even coworkers. Um, it just was something everybody kind of did. I mean, maybe not to the extent that I was doing it, but um, there was never an eye batted at, oh man, I tied one on last night,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And that's a challenge with addiction because alcoholism in general, or drinking alcohol in general, is a social norm in many circumstances and
Yes.
families and friend groups, that it can be challenging to determine when we have an addiction ourselves or when others within our group or family system have an addiction.
Yeah, and so I would go through periods where I would have like internal dialogue with myself about drinking, and I'd be like, I'm just not going to do it for a month or two. And um, I think for a good 10 years, the longest I ever went was maybe 3 months.
Mm.
And that was like a challenge, but it really was. I know it sounds completely ignorant and weird, but it really was peer pressure that brought me back into it.
Mhm.
All your friends out at the bar making fun of you because, well, you're not drinking tonight. No, I'm not drinking tonight. I told you I'm doing a 3 month thing. And so, and then you also feel a level of accomplishment when you hit a milestone and you're like, well, a quarter of a year,
Mhm.
might as well have one. And then that turns into the exact same scenario and sometimes worse. So,
So when did you notice that enough is enough and you were ready to change your pattern of this addiction to alcohol?
uh, well, I noticed that enough was enough a long time before I actually quit. But it really came down to a medical diagnosis that put me in the mindset where, after having a conversation with my doctor, going, well, I guess I'm just not going to do that anymore. Then, and
Mm.
it was. I had gone in and out of facilities like rehab or detoxes so many times, and nothing ever really locked me in. But for whatever reason that day, and the main reason was what the doctor was telling me, and I just said, I'm done. And it was, I won't say easy, but I was able to just go, I'm never having one again. And that was just over 5 years ago.
Well,
So
congratulations on your 5-year mark. That's an incredible, I
thank
don't want to say
you.
like accomplishment, but just a
Right.
mile marker to be able to reflect on
Yeah,
where you've
don't get me
been.
excited.
I've
I
got a trophy. I'll back up. I'll give you sometimes it would be helpful, I think, if we got these trophies, but really, like, we have that benefit of that feeling, that sense of, wow, like all of that time has passed and I've been able to do this. And now you mentioned going to rehab. What would you say was different between going through different facilities that were with the intention of helping yourself through your addiction versus that turning point when you determine that I'm not going to drink again?
um it's really that in a facility, it's a very clinical environment, and you also trade stories in places like that too, and it keeps it on your mind at all times. What I found was when I decided to quit, I didn't do anything as far as facility or 12-step programs or anything. I just said, at first, I'm going to distract myself. And that's exactly what I did. I started working, as many hours as I could. And then I started um, reading like I hadn't read before. But it really was like a shift in my mentality and inside of me that happened, as opposed to being told, don't do this and this is why. It was me saying to myself, don't do this and this is why. And the reasons are a lot different. The reasons at a facility are you're going to end up killing someone else or you're going to end up dead. And with a personal conversation, it was, think of all the things you want to accomplish in life, even if you don't know what any of those things are yet. There's a lot of time left in this world to make a contribution, and that's important to me and always has been important to me. So,
And just to reiterate that, it maybe to begin drinking, it was because this external world, this focus on the external world, and in noticing that there was an issue and going to the rehab, almost this like force trying to give it up because of this external world and others' expectations
right.
of you and the laws and or whatever it may be. But it sounds like there was that choice, from within that you were returning to maybe the space before you even started drinking that was, I'm ready to become myself again and what I am here to
Yes, I had
create.
lost quite a bit of who I was by that point. And there's also the multifaceted nature of the societal structure of it, because society's sitting there telling you over and over again, on the television or whatever, you know, go out, get drunk with your friends. And then they're like, whoa, buddy, you did it a little bit too much. And now we got to have a talk. And so, um, who do you trust at that point?
Mhm.
And you can really only put the trust in yourself to know what's best for you. And when I started to realize some of the things that I wanted to do in life, or return to some of the things I loved to do in life, I was able to make clearer choices. One, because I was sober, but more motivating choices, as opposed to, you know, this scary thing could happen. Instead, it was, let's try some positive things and go from there.
And what
So,
were some of those positive things that helped you with that
um,
momentum on the other side?
well, I know I've told you this story before, but it was like I could go back to like playing all these like video games or stuff like that, or just start spending all my money on comic books or something, which I, if I could, I would, but um, just because I like them, but maybe not the video games. It's too time consuming. But that was one hand, and on the other hand, I had this lifelong obsession with the occult and with spirituality in general. And I came across a book I had had in my collection for a long time, since I was about 13, which was Simplified Magic by Ted Andrews, which is a really, really easy breakdown of what the Kabbalah is. And reading it again and then thinking about the idea of personal transmutation or spiritual transmutation, um, like opened this door back up that I needed to walk through to really understand who I was and what I was after in life.
So it started to generate this passion for your spiritual practice, it sounds
Yes.
like.
The tarot came back very early as well, because I had been reading cards since around age 6. Um, it naturally clicked back in as part of my life. Like, what's today gonna bring?
Mhm.
You know, treating myself as a fortune teller, which I am not. Um, but for the sake of introspection, it was incredibly helpful from the beginning, and I like to share that with other people. So,
Would you say that became a motivation for you too, then bringing it back out into the external world to be able to
yeah,
share these gifts then?
my entire um if you look at my structure as a human now, I would say my base, my root is in the tarot. It's in the divine guidance that is provided for each individual through the cards, and everything else is built on top of that as the ground, up all of my other practices, because tarot, I consider myself a healer, but and tarot very much is healing, because it's clearing away a level of discomfort from your mind, or pointing you where you can go
Mhm.
to break free of that discomfort.
Would you say that's why some of us turn to addictions, whether it be alcohol or food or sex or whatever it may be, because of this discomfort in the mind? Or what would you
Yes,
say?
I heard a really good quote today that was, intuition versus wishful thinking. Is that wishful thinking, there's no fear. In intuition, there's an uncertainty and an uncomfortability with it. Um, Very much paraphrasing that right now.
It's beautiful.
Um, but I think that a lot of us have this innate intuition. Well, all of us do have this innate intuition within us, but we get scared by it because we don't like to feel uncomfortable. You put yourself in a position where you know something, and people say that, like, oh, I knew that was going to happen, or I knew this was going to happen, and something just didn't feel right about what I was doing. That's your intuition talking. And the ability to, I think that puts people, any discomfort puts people in a state where they want to shut it off.
Mhm.
um, Turning to addiction on that part is that there are a multitude of things that make us feel uncomfortable, not just intuition, but trauma from childhood, or having to relearn something you've held true to your entire life, um, can cause such chaos in the mind. And a lot of that discomfort sits in the mind and not so much in the heart. And we tend to want to shut the mind off so we can try and focus in the heart. But what ends up happening is we just dull ourselves down completely and we go into this fantasy world where we're healthy, happy, and everything we ever wanted to be in life, you know, the person we imagined ourselves being. So,
And you're summing up the whole intention of the show, which is transformations. And those of us who are come to these very divinely yet uncomfortable place circumstances in our lives where we have a choice to go through the discomfort and the fear and the unknown and return to the foundation of who we are and trust that all is well and trust that we are being guided back to our purest state versus our patterns of the past of looking away, of staying in this illusion. This is such a time for awakening for all of us. And yet, let us encourage each other that on the other side of our addictions, our pains, our trauma, there is hope. There is
yeah, and you don't
reality
have
of
to know
goodness.
what it is
Right.
either.
Yeah.
A lot of times, uh, going into a transformation, we don't know what we're transforming
Hmm.
into, um, but we know it's going to be better than where we're at.
Hmm.
So, and specifically speaking on addiction, nothing comes but good from finding a way to break free and return to who you are. Even if you have no clue who you are, you'll find out somewhere along your path, and you get this great blessing the moments that you realize what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm.
So,
And last question, what would you say to our beloved community, somebody who may be in the midst of healing their addiction or becoming awakening to their addiction? What would you say to them as a support to have them go through and know that everything is okay?
I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but I mean, there's always a way. There always is a way to get out of it. Um, you just have to take it upon yourself to want to. And sometimes that's hard to find a reason to want to, especially when you're in the midst of addiction or when you're on the substance that you're addicted to. It's so pleasurable in those moments that why would you want anything else? Um, but you're gonna find a way past that because there's the down periods too, and you have to look at the negative consequences of the addiction, the detoxing, anything that happens along the way. And I'd also like to say I'm always available if anybody wants to reach out um, for conversation one on one. We can work through things and help you figure it out if I can.
Heal as one.
Yes.
Thank you so very much for sharing your transformation story, one of your transformation stories. We have many along the way, this wonderful planet Earth that we are on that provides us with such lessons. Thank you so much for joining. And if you'd like to invite me, just a moment of stillness and silence, I invite you to place your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath in and deep breath out. And remember that you are worthy of feeling your best, of discovering that truest part of yourself that may have been lost for a very long time. When you turn your eyes back into your spirit, you will find yourself. Keep moving, keep growing, keep loving, keep learning. Namaste, friends. Thank you for joining our very first episode of Transformations with Ordinary Pioneer. You can learn more about what we're creating here at Ordinary Pioneer at our website, ordinarypioneer.com, and on Facebook, Instagram. Let us know in the comments any thoughts, any questions that you have for myself or Paul on this very heavy topic, and any topics you would like to see in the future, and any other comments or wonderings you may have. Namaste, be blessed.